our basically level 2 upgrade. This is a good place to start setup, but instead of using the i5-6600, we're actually using the i7-6700K. This jumps from a 65 watt to a 91 watt TDP rating. That means you've got a bit more power to play with. It translates into a little bit more performance. This one was clocked at standard turbos to 4.2 instead of the 3.6 of the 6600. So you've got a bit more single threaded performance. But the big difference with this one is it's unlocked. So if you want to get into a bit of overclocking and use the potential of this motherboard, this is really a very nice option, and you can actually get quite a bit of performance out of this processor. On the cooling there, if you're looking at overclocking, all of Intel's K processors doesn't actually come with a cooler fitted as standard. So you've got a few routes you can go with that one. You can buy a Intel standard cooler. Unfortunately, they are quite expensive for the level of cooling you get, but it's definitely sufficient if you're not looking at overclocking. You can buy a larger air cooler, or you can look at something like a liquid cooler. We test all our setups with these double slot liquid coolers. To be honest, for this, it's completely overboard. It'll stay nice and cool. A single slot liquid cooler is more than sufficient, or a large air cooler is also more than sufficient for overclocking. When looking at the RAM, we stick to our normal philosophy. Here we've got two 8 gig RAM DIMMs at 2400 megahertz. We're using the Corsair Vengence LPX. The reason why we go for the 8 gig DIMMs instead of 4 gig DIMMs is it leaves you 2 slots open if you want to upgrade to 32 gig later on. The motherboard is the Gigabyte Z170 XP SLI motherboard. The nice thing with going for the Z170 chipset is you've actually got 20 PCI Express lanes. You've got 16 to use with a high-end graphics card, plus then another 4 to use for other applications. Getting the biggest benefit out of that would be if you're going for a M.2 NVE SSD. They really have insane performance. You're talking about 2000 megabytes per second plus. So it's basically more than the performance of 4 SATA SSDs all linked into one drive. If you're looking at SATA SSDs, we've got 6 SATA 3 ports that are configured, as well as 3 SATA Express ports. The SATA Express is a new SATA standard. At the moment, while making this video, there isn't any available on the market yet, but the SATA Express SSDs will run with a ceiling of 16 gigabits per second as opposed to the 6. So they're actually getting up to half of the performance level of the MVE SSDs, which is very impressive. In terms of connectivity, we've got 3 PCI Express 16 slots, 2 1X slots, and it's very nice, you've actually got 2 old PCI slots as well, if you have old graphics cards or something lying around here. Got an amp-up audio, which is actually separated from the rest of the board, which is a very high-quality audio system. Actually has little LEDs illuminating it when it's connected as well. And if you're looking at the K processor like we are in this case, this turbo B clock comes into play. This is a unique thing to Gigabyte specifically, which allows you to overclock in smaller increments. So, for example, if you can't quite get it stable at the next level with the turbo B clock, you can actually overclock it in small increments. The ultra durable series of boards of Gigabyte are very nice. I've personally got one which has been running for 10 years, and most of the time it's been overclocked. Haven't had a single issue with it. The connectivity on the board is also very nice. The display connectors, if you're looking at this kind of setup, you probably won't be using the onboard, but you've got a VGA, a DVI, and a HDMI for the onboard. You've got a PS2 connector. If you have the old keyboard or mouse that you're still a big fan of, you can still use that. But the very nice thing is this board actually has USB 3.1 in both the Type A, which is the standard connector, and the Type C, which is the new mobile standard. And they run double the speed of the normal USB 3. You've got, other than the CPU cooler slot, you've got 3 fan connectors if you want to connect your case's fans onto the board, and the board will determine the fan speeds directly itself. And it's got two USB 3 front panel connectors as well, which is very nice, and it's even got a connection for an old printer board. So in terms of connectability, this is really an excellent board. And that's basically this upgrade kit.